Hey guys, what's up? I'm just working. That's all. I'm gonna retouch some images I shot at the Met Gala. I'm not gonna be talking much, but you can see my workflow. There we go. And there I am. There we are. Ton of really super interesting people come through the Met Gala, and I am super honored to get to photograph them. There we go. I'm going to put on something I can listen to because I'm not going to be talking much. Is usually how it works.
Trump, you're a grifty grifter. I don't know.
So you'll be hearing that.
But he's like piling up the grift like you can't believe. Hi, everyone. This is Pivot from New York Magazine and the Vox Media Podcast Network. I'm Kara Swisher.
And I'm Scott Galloway.
Scott, did you hear who my seatmate was? Your favorite person on my way to California to talk to Democrats. I can't say.
Gordon Gekko. I mean, Speaker Emeritus Pelosi.
She was delightful. She's a delightful seatmate, I must say. Let me just tell you one thing about her. First of all, I recognized it was her because it was like it was a plane full of political people. Zoe Lofgren was on there. Eric Swalwell was on there. But someone yelled out "white smoke" really loudly, an older lady, and it turned out to be her. And spent much of the beginning of the flight having me figure out who the Pope was for her. She's, quite Catholic and carrying lots of newspapers, constantly moving throughout the entire thing. I mean, she's in really good shape for someone of her age, of any age, actually. So it was fun. We had a good time. She said,
I think she's very fashionable.
She is. Well, she was wearing a very comfortable but fashionable outfit, I would say. But comfortable. And one of the things that struck me was how many people came up to her. I know you have antipathy towards her, but most people don't. It was astonishing how many people gave her notes and handed her little things saying they loved her and this and that. It was interesting.
Look, I think she's been a great representative. I think she's a powerful, smart woman. I also think she's engages in wild corruption. So
yeah, not like a Qatari airplane.
We'll get to that, but but the slow creep has not helped.
No, I agree. The stock thing has to be dealt with throughout Congress. By the way, there was a Republican who did it, who was saying he was against it, and then he suddenly was doing a lot of trading. Marjorie Taylor Greene. They shouldn't be trading, and I get. And again, I think your idea of paying them more is a great idea. In order to get them off of that, because another part, you're smart people. You want to make some money, and you can't help yourself, but you do have insider information to a lot of things.
Look, I've said this over and over. I'm trying to be better about coming up with solutions. I think there should be a bill, and I think there's a decent chance it would pass. 1 million a year for representatives, 3 million a year for senators, 10 million a year for the president in exchange for a zero tolerance policy on corruption. They put all their assets.
Like the Trump people have really taken it to the most.
No, I agree, but that's a separate conversation. I'm trying to talk about solutions. The Singapore model works because what ends up happening is the money they get costs so much more in terms of loss of faith in the markets, in terms of people's reticence to invest in certain companies. It's just probably.
I'm going to agree with you. All I have to say is I love a lady who has a pile of newspapers all crumpled up. She pulled out stories. She knew where everything was. It was quite nice, actually. It made me feel of a different era. I liked it.
A bunch of newspapers crumpled up?
She carried she reads newspapers on paper, like instead of digitally. And at one point when I figured out for her who the Pope was by getting online and stuff like that, she just said, him. And then she fished out of this pile of newspapers an article the New York Times had done on this particular man who became the Pope. And she was like, I wonder if he's too conservative. Like she was like immediately just out of this. She was almost like the Wikipedia herself. It was really interesting. Anyway.
Yeah, the guy who lived across the hall from me and the faculty housing also collected newspapers. Also spoke to himself and was a name.
I just haven't seen someone have a lot of these. My mother, I mean, anyway, it was fun. We had a good time. White smoke. Anyway, we've got, how was your weekend? By the way, I was in California very briefly to talk to Democrats who are
Oh, that's good. Out in California again? And you're already
I'm
back?
back. I'm back in DC.
Jesus Christ.
I'm going up to New York. I'm staying with you, just so you know. My
When are you
son
coming? Wait,
graduated.
when are you coming here?
I'm not getting
When
there
is the,
till Wednesday.
when are you checking into the hotel?
Wednesday,
The
Thursday,
hotel,
Friday.
cheap prostitutes and
Yes,
pastries from Baltazar?
yes, Wednesday,
Um,
Thursday, Friday. So
Okay. My mother's self, cleaning lady, get rid of that. Get rid of the dildos and the condom. Okay. My mother's self. All right.
yeah, you're there with someone, and if you want to have drinks tonight, I'm coming in tonight.
Pretend I'm coming up with a really valid excuse for no.
I'm gonna just show up. I'm nearby. I'm at a hotel nearby. My son.
Yeah, no, I had a great weekend. Congratulations to your son. I went to one of these new member clubs. I went to San Vicente Bungalows.
Oh, how is it? I love that guy who runs it, Jeff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They're kind of all beginning to look, smell, and feel the same.
Right.
The difference is they're all in the same area now, or much of them. So you go to one, and if you don't like the crowd, you go to another one.
Oh.
I mean, it's going to be so the easiest prediction in the world is there's going to be a Harvard business case study on these private members clubs about how it's overinvestment, the shakeout, how they each try to find their own lane and their own identity.
Yeah.
But I'm not exaggerating. I would bet 10 have opened in the last year.
It's amazing. They're the one in LA, and it's lovely. The one in LA is lovely.
It's nice.
The guy who's a Pivot fan, actually, Jeff. I'm blanking on his last name, but I love the one in LA. It's quite lovely. I've been there for lunch. I've been a guest to people. But did you like it? This one comparatively?
Yeah, I like all of them. I'm easily impressed.
Yeah.
So, but I think they're nice. I also am at the age where I don't want to wait in line. I want to go somewhere that they don't allow in other people, that I shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
I need to be
in a safe space.
The oldest and ugliest person in the room.
Okay.
And that happens at these places.
Good.
So
Good. Would you care to say which one you like best or not?
Oh, my favorite is Zero Bond because I like the owner and I think they do a nice job, and it's just sort of my cheers. I like it there, and it's sort of the original one that kind of took private members clubs to the next level. If I had to guess, I'm fascinated by markets. If I had to guess, I think the two that will survive, sort of the HBO and the Netflix, are Zero Bond and Casa Cipriani, which has its own kind of Eurotrash crowd and as well.
It's a nice crowd. Yeah.
And it's downtown, and it's just got a very unique positioning. And the other ones are all like, Hulu and Peacock trying to battle it out.
It's funny that they're talking about Casa Cipriani. I just shot this Met Gala stuff there. This podcast is called Pivot with Kara Swisher and Scott Galloway. I actually really like it, but you know how a lot of podcasts do sort of a lead in where like they talk a little bit and catch up. This is entirely too long. We're like 7 minutes into this.
It'll be very interesting to see what actually survives here.
All right, so I'll meet you at Zero Bond tonight. That'll be great.
ZB? You're going to meet at ZB?
I will. I have to speak in front of CUNY. Is it CUNY? Is that how you pronounce it?
CUNY, yeah.
CUNY. I'm speaking in front of a Newmark group. Craig Newmark has funded a journalism thing, but then I'm free,
That's nice.
so you can meet me.
Then I'm free. You don't drink. I'm not.
I know.
I'm not interested.
I'm just gonna show up. I'll text you.
You come over. We'll do edibles.
Yeah.
Watch Meet the Press on my computer.
No.
Fun time. That's what I do. That's literally what I do at night. I take edibles and I watch Meet the Press on the computer, and I get really
I'm gonna
depressed.
find you tonight.
And then I
you want
face-
to go to the theater tomorrow night?
Oh my God, I can't think of anything. I'd rather less do. That was you trying to up it? That was you trying to go one more. Yeah. No, no.
Yeah.
Oh
I have a lot of work.
God.
I'm interviewing Barry Diller. I'm going on Nicole Wallace's new podcast.
I was on Nicole's thing. She's good.
But you were on her show. She has a new podcast too now. Everybody's got a
really?
podcast. Mhm. Yeah.
So I'm going to speak out of school here.
Yeah, sure.
I got, this is literally why TV is dying.
You've done a lot lately.
Yeah, I'm a total fucking whore lately. So anyway, so when I'm in New York, I just say yes to everything. Almost everything.
Not me, I see.
Well, come on, I know you.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
anyways, CBS Mornings, whatever it's called, with Gayle King, reached out and said, "Do you want to come on?" And I said, "Yeah, I've never been on the show. My understanding is it gets a huge audience."
It does.
I actually like Gayle King for all the shit she's getting. I like her.
Yeah, I do too, except for the flight thing. But go ahead.
Okay, whatever. I've done worse. You've done worse.
Exactly. That's how it feels.
And so their big assignment, they do a pre-call, a freaking pre-call with like 8 people.
Oh, I declined those. You did them? Decline.
My team agreed to it. I don't do pre-calls for talks where I get paid 6 figures, but they decide I need to do a pre-call for CBS Morning.
Okay, hard no.
Anyway, so I'm on with like 8 very attractive, intelligent 30-somethings who are literally a third of the age of their viewership as they program, as they figure out programming for people who are 140. And they're asking me all these questions about young men and the economy and tariffs. We talked for 45 minutes. And then I go, "Can you tell me a little bit about the segment?" And they said, "It's with Gayle King." And I said, "How long is it?" And they said, 4.5 minutes. And I said, "I'm not doing it."
Oh.
And they're like, "What?"
You did
I'm like,
again. You've done this before.
I'm not getting up at dark 100 hours,
Yeah.
putting on a suit, coming to Midtown, getting in a makeup chair to speak to 800,000 7-year-olds for 4.5 minutes. And they were so shocked.
Oh, good for you.
And then, by the way, same night, and I'm bragging, I went on Nicole Wallace's show for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But I'm supposed to go on fucking. And the thing is, they don't get it. CBS.
What did you do? Did you go on? Did you?
No. I went, no, I said, I'm out.
Oh.
No, wait, this is not. I said, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. I'm pissed off at my team for agreeing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and it's bad for my brand to show up with Gayle King for 4.5 fucking minutes. That makes me look important.
Oh.
And they seem so shocked. And this is the thing, broadcast news or just cable news.
Yeah.
It's one thing that you're dying, but it's another thing you don't realize it yet.
Yeah.
They literally seem shocked that I wasn't going to haul my ass to Midtown to be on with Gayle King for 4.5 minutes.
Yeah. Yep. I agree with you. The call was 4. See, I always return down those. I was like, no, you can read my threads.
4.5 minutes. Yay. We spent 40 minutes talking through these issues, and they want me to answer like one question with Gayle King.
Are you guys hearing this bullshit? Like, oh, they actually do have a little marker that tells you when the actual podcast starts, because this is crazy. Like, who's enjoying listening to this shit?
Yeah, I'm like, good luck with that. And by the way, you don't know me.
Yeah.
And I said that I love Barry Diller, and I want nothing to do with an activist play against IAC.
Anyway, we've got a lot to get to today, including MAGA's meltdown over the
Thank God.
and the return of Elizabeth Holmes, sort of, I guess. But first, the U.S. and China have reached a deal to roll back the sky-high tariffs they've imposed on each other, at least for the next another 90-day thing. Under the deal, the U.S. tariffs on China will drop from 145% to 30%, while China will cut its own tariffs on American goods from 125% to 10%. These tariff reductions will go into effect Wednesday. China also said will suspend or cancel tariff countermeasures, including restrictions on rare earth metals that have been hitting automakers and chip makers. The markets are thrilled by this China deal. The Dow surged 1,000 points at the opening bell. No surprise. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent was on CNBC calling this a pause and saying he expects to meet with China in the coming weeks to work out a larger agreement. I mean, what? Like, why did we do this? I guess to get them to do this. Is this better, worse? I can't even tell because of the specifics are not there. Bessent also said neither side wants a decoupling, meaning they want to get along with the Chinese. That's probably hello. We already knew that. If you're an American company right now, I don't know what your next move is. And Scott, how many dolls are you buying me? That's what I want to know. But talk about this deal, I guess.
There's this capitulation. You don't show up and say you're levying 145%, and then a week later start negotiating against yourself and saying they're unsustainable. It's like, well, why did you put that number out there to begin with? And then say there's a temporary interim tariff of 30%. And this is a reality. China kind of gets what they want, because China has made a strategic decision to divest from the U.S. They have taken the percentage of their exports from 24% to 17%, which is huge when you look at the size. And as we pretend that our dick is much bigger than it is, we're their 3rd largest trading partner. We're not even number 1. So they're fine to slowly but surely go through a measured decoupling, actually, or reduction in dependence upon us. Trump has created so much ill will. I mean, do you realize and this is the thing people don't realize in terms of brand. For the first time in history, when there was a global poll done of global consumers, and for the first time in history, more people see China as a positive force in the world than the U.S.
I cannot believe that. I saw
So, when opting for where should my kid go to graduate school, who should I do business with?
This is cool because you guys get to listen to what I listen to, and maybe you'll start to think like me. Um, I love these two. I'm trying to. I mean, I might do some of them. I mean, I think there are multiple images that I'm gonna end up using from these two. I think they're so beautiful and just unique looking. I mean, they're models, obviously. I'm trying to see if this looks better in black and white or in color. I don't even know, man. I don't even know. What do you guys think?
With what kind of business am I inclined to meet with? What widget or aircraft should I buy, Chinese or American? More people around the globe for the first time now pick China.
Yes, an authoritarian communist country that that follows its view. It is, ugh, it's so ridiculous what we've done here.
So, and then just on a more economic level, in terms of capital outflows, in the wake of this nonsense, investors have rushed to the exits on all dollar denominated investments. And the US dollar index is down 6% year to date. More than 10 billion has been wiped off of the stock market. The Magnificent Seven alone lost, 2 trillion on April 3rd and 4th. So this is just a massive attempt to claim some sort of Pyrrhic victory in exchange for massively trading off the.
I photographed this model last year, and it was one of my favorite photographs that I took that year at the Met Gala. This is the second year that I did this. Um, and I really love shooting her. I think she's awesome. She's like so full of energy. Like she came to the set. She was there for like 2 minutes, not even, and just like lit the whole thing up. I'd love to work with her again. Sorry, back to the state of the world.
Equity that we have developed over the last 80 years. This is just stupid. Again, these guys don't understand business. They don't understand negotiation. They don't understand even our dollar dominance. People estimate that we get interest rates on mortgages, student loans, and credit cards of between 0.5% and 1% lower because so many people buy our dollars to invest here. And so the real damage is incremental. It's like a virus that's eating away that you can't even identify. It's all these little, death by a thousand cuts. And America has taken for granted just how powerful having the dollar as the reserve currency, having these inflows of capital, having people feel decent goodwill about us. And he's torn those up such that we can go to 30% temporary tariffs.
Yeah.
So it'll make shit more expensive.
90 days. All this 90-day nonsense. I mean, what if you're a business? Tell me, like, if you're
How do you
creating
plan?
a business, how do you
plan?
know? I guess you're relieved that now we're not being insane and ruining, like, but it's already wrecked a bunch of people's businesses. It's thrown planning out the window. And what do you do? Because you don't know what this lunatic's going to do next. And I don't mean China.
Yeah. They're like, I mean, we've talked a lot about this. There are, America is meant to be a platform for rights, to protect our shores,
Laws.
and for stuff. Americans love their stuff. And so a 30% tariff is enough to kind of get trade unclogged again. But it'll be essentially the percent of exports to the U.S. will go probably from 17 down to 15 or 12. And then the next time we try to do it, our products are going to get more expensive. Fewer gifts under the Christmas tree. Every business and all the shit they order from China, it'll make the cost of doing business more expensive, and it's done huge damage to our reputation. It's just we're no longer seen as a reliable trading partner. I think actually, interesting enough, a big one is Europe, who's going to find they're going to be able to negotiate, get a lot of products on sale as China tries to keep these factories humming. And
I heard that they were doing that. They were keeping up sales across the globe. It's just, this is just, And then the summer will probably rally because of this, because we're getting out of idiocy. It looks like Scott
Oh, yeah.
Besson's just a cleanup lady, like on aisle 5, essentially, correct?
Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of also ridiculous, President Trump is heading out on the first major overseas trip of his second term this week, with stops in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and United Arab.
Ready to lose the hat and regrow the hair? With Chews by Hims, you can regain your hair and your confidence. Our chews are powered by clinically proven ingredients like minoxidil and finasteride, so you can grow thicker, fuller hair in 3 to 6 months. Your treatment is 100% personalized to your hair goals and comes at an affordable price that works for your budget, so you can step out with full confidence. Hats off to hair growth with treatment that works for you. Start today at hims.com.
Are you having trouble trying to keep up with your professor? You've got to try Otter. Here's how it works.
Emirates, presumably to collect new bags of money. The trip comes as Trump administration plans to accept a $400 million luxury Boeing 747-800 from Qatar, possibly the largest foreign gift in U.S. history. The plane will be retrofitted to be used as Air Force One, which I don't even want to think about the security implications, and donated to Trump's presidential library when he leaves office, allowing him to still use it. Despite all the ethical questions being raised, Trump called it a very public and transparent transaction on Truth Social. And Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt, Tracy Flick, who was just so bad, said in a statement, any gift given by a foreign government is always accepted in full compliance with all applicable laws. It's the griftiest grift yet. I mean, this is just, I'll note the Trump family struck a deal to build a luxury golf resort in Qatar a few weeks ago. I mean, I can't, it's all in plain sight, I guess, is the only good thing we could say about it. All the billions they're making and taking from these Arab countries. And he wants to call the Gulf, the Persian Gulf, the Gulf of Arabia now, another one. I mean, why does he just go there in his plane and live there for the rest of his life? I don't know what else to say, because was he looking for a place to go if he ever gets convicted of anything? I don't honestly know what's happening.
Well, again, I go to the brand. You know how stupid this makes us look, that we have to have the rich Qataris buy the president a plane that's manufactured here.
Right.
We're the most prosperous nation in the world.
Yeah.
But we need a government that, an authoritarian government that sponsors the Houthis and Hamas.
Yeah,
give us
that's
a
right.
plane.
Yeah, Hamas.
And I have
What is that?
a group of friends from college, mostly Jews, who are pro-Trump. They kind of hold their nose around the man and his policies, but they found that Biden and Harris's wavering around Israel was really disappointing. And so they're quite frankly, they're pro-Trump, or they voted for Trump because they see him as more resolute on Israel.
Sure.
This is Qatar basically is the diplomatic mouthpiece and funds Hamas. And so the notion that the Trump administration gave a flying fuck about anti-Semitism as they try and implement thought control across our universities, and is meanwhile saying that Middle East policy is now pay for play, that he's now the ultimate frequent, there's now a new frequent flyer category for Qatar Airlines, and the president is the only person on it. And in exchange, they're going to have leverage over a guy who claims to be focused on anti-Semitism. I mean, I find that Jews in America that support Trump are kind of like, okay, yeah, there's like the white Christian nationals, the evangelicals are really fond of Jews in Israel. But if you actually do a little bit of digging, the reason they're fond of Jews is a little bit unsettling. They think we're part of their master plan when Jesus comes back.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, just dig a little deep on what their plan is for us.
End times. It's all about the end times, just so you know. I have relatives. I hear a lot about do you know what I did? The bumper sticker my brother made for my relatives who are very, very charismatic Christians, I guess I would call them.
What's that?
He made them. They're lovely people, but they have varying degrees of religiosity. But he made my aunt a bumper sticker that said, "When the rapture comes, can I have your stuff?"
Huh. I thought that was going to be funnier. How is Dr. Swisher?
He's good.
He's good.
He's in Portland visiting his son right now. He's good.
His son's in Oregon?
Yeah, one of his sons. Yeah, the other lives in Australia, and his daughter is in the Dominican Republic.
I'll clean that up later.
Yeah.
Totally see that. What does the son do in Portland?
He's working on electrical engineering, I think.
Oh, good for him. At the University of Oregon?
One of them, yeah. He's yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I can't say what Alex is doing because he signed an NDA, but Alex is doing an energy related internship this summer.
I'm not exaggerating when your son took me and my son to work. And we asked him or to lunch when we were touring the University of Michigan. We asked him what he was doing over the summer, and he looked around as if there were spies about to take notes. And I'm like, Alex, you're not that important.
Yes,
You're
he
not
is.
that important.
He is. Don't tell him he loves you. Do not say that. Right.
Okay. He's his what is he? He's going to the sophomore. He's literally like, okay. He's like, you can't tell anyone about this.
But you know what? He's a very, I love that kid. We had a great weekend.
Well, yeah, you love him like a son.
No, I just think he's going to be a billionaire, and we should. Speaking of being scared of people, you should.
No, I'm glad he's on our
He's
side.
going to take care
I'm
of
glad
us
he's on our
you
side.
and I, when we're older.
No, he's gonna be my bodyguard and also figure out what technology keeps me alive to 200.
I
and
feel
keeps
like
me.
he's going to build something really significant. I feel.
Yeah, he's got that kind of crazy smart gene.
Anyway, we can't say what he's doing. He's under NDA.
I know it's total like
I love that
that's
about him.
top
Anyway,
secret.
Rob, you're a grifty grifter. That's all. I don't know what to say. I don't know if we can stop him, but he's like piling up the grift like you can't believe. All right, when we get back, how the new pope is riling up the MAGA world, and we'll also discuss some of our favorite pope memes because I love a pope meme. Scott, we're back. The Pope Leo the 14th, the first American pope, laid out a vision of his papacy over the weekend, identifying AI as one of the most critical issues facing humanity. It was interesting. He was also sporting an Apple Watch in his first official mass. He also seems to be a very techie pope. Let's invite him on the show. That would be great. And while many have cheered the election of American Pope, the MAGA folks are not happy. Activist Laura Loomer branded him woke Marxist Pope. Steve Bannon predicted friction with Trump. As for people, Pope Leo's political leanings, voting records show the Chicago native has participated in Republican and Democratic primaries in various elections. An ex account under his name has criticized Trump's policies in the past and also rebuked J.D. Vance back in February. He's got a crazy Trumpy brother what was he saying? He's saying a bunch of things that are really nutty. One brother's calmer. His two brothers, the older one seems insane. He's, as you said, from Chicago. He has a background, interestingly, of Creole and from Haiti. He's got a really interesting, they're calling him also the Black Pope, but he's definitely got, they did some really interesting reporting on that, which is cool. He's been all over the world. He's very international. Seems fascinating. So we'll get to the memes in a bit. What do you think of this Pope Leo? And so far, he seems very vibrant and exciting and interesting.
I think he's the Pope because of Donald Trump. I think that if you look at the new leaders of Australia or the existing leaders of Australia and Canada, basically Trump got them elected. And he got them elected because their opponents were more closely associated with Trump. So Trump is basically anyone who's not Trump or represents a pushback on his policies is ascending to the most powerful positions in the world. And I think that's what happened here. I think the papacy takes very seriously how they can have the most impact. And if you look at when the Eastern Bloc was really going through a difficult time, they decided to pick someone from the Eastern Bloc. They picked Pope John Paul II from Poland. I think they see there's a relevance and a means of adding value by saying when a place is struggling, we pick someone from there in hopes that they serve as sort of a moral standard bearer. My father-in-law absolutely adores Pope John Paul II. He's born and raised in Poland. And I think that it's no accident that they've decided that America needs a pope, that they need somebody. I mean, the best line that identifies or marks this very dark moment in American history is what Bill Gates said. And that is that the richest man in the world is killing the world's poorest children. And I thought, Jesus Christ, that's puncturing and sad. And that kind of identifies our MAGA politics right now. And I think that the cardinals who elect, I think they decided that America is in desperate need of a moral standard bearer, and the world needs someone that America will take seriously I was thinking so much about, like, how did my generation fuck up so bad? And I was thinking, and for me, it all comes back to a personal parable.
Oh, you're doing a parable?
Well, my youngest has always built. He's got the most wonderful grandparents, and his granddad. Yeah, my grandparents been done. Average age expectancy. You know how everyone says I'm going to live forever? Like none of my grandparents made it past 50.
Wow.
Anyways, so he's just the most wonderful man. Took over the family room to build a train set for the boys, and he's always with my youngest built these Legos. And this time he came over, my youngest is 14 and into girls and Snap and fashion and football. And they built about half of it. And then he said, Jaja, I don't want to do this. I don't feel like it. He wasn't enjoying it that much. And I could tell it was very upsetting. It's like one of those moments when you feel like that's probably the last time I'll pick up my kid or the last time I'll build a Lego with my grandson. And I was trying to figure out a way to say to him, look, that's not cool. Even if you didn't want to build this or finish it, you should have realized this was important to your grandfather and finished it. And what I've been thinking about is that, I'm writing a lot about becoming a man. I think that my generation and our politics have become more about our feelings as opposed to our values. And that is, we don't do a good enough job of identifying values and then basing those actions and those political views off those values, as opposed to just what makes us feel good or feel like we're part of a tribe or feels some sort of thrill because the other side looks stupid or feels confirmation because we're signed up for whatever narrative the party we've chosen believes. But I do think there's a degradation or a move away from values and as a guiding light, as opposed to just
Feels like
this guy's really got he's not afraid. He's called Russia's invasion, he said Russia's living wickedness. He's not afraid to tweet about shit. And I like to think that the church has said, all right, there needs to be some sort of rejuvenation or a move back towards values in the West, as opposed to what everyone thinks is going to make them feel good.
Depends on what your values are, though, because there's a very conservative shift in many people in the U.S. The most devout, I'm using that term loosely, are the conservative groups that are sort of machinating behind the scenes in the Catholic Church. There's a whole groups of very conservative Catholics. And J.D. Vance is a convert, obviously, and is among those. And the concepts are much more old Latin Pope, like Benedict. Let's go back to before Vatican II and everything else. And I agree. I think this guy is a choice that they make. I happen to be Catholic. I don't know what I don't even know what your religion is. But my grandmother went to mass every day. I got confirmed. I never went inside a Catholic church since, really. I did that for her. But there's a real movement. Either it goes quite left or quite right, and it's responding to growth in Latin America and Africa and different places. I think where there's more conservative, but there is a real conservative shift in this country. And I think Pope Francis was smart to pick all those cardinals. There's one pope that's one cardinal that's Cardinal Dolan in New York, who's his favorite one, who's quite conservative. And I have to say, Nancy Pelosi gave me a walk through all the conservative cardinals in the country. She's not allowed to be to get communion in San Francisco, but I think other priests give her communion in some fashion. But there's a real struggle going on. So this should be a really interesting pope. More importantly, there's Pope jokes, which were really good. Whatever, if Laura Loomer and Steve Bannon don't like something, sign me up, I think. But you share the Chicago Pope one, which looks like a new TV show coming to NBC. Very funny. The Wiener Circle, which I love in Chicago, the famous Chicago hot dog stand where they insult you, puts a Latin translation, "He has eaten our dogs," on their sign. Someone posted on X. Smart play for the Vatican to go with an American Pope to avoid tariffs. That was cute. And Stephen Colbert put in, "Holy Father, you had me at JD Vance is wrong." Did you have any other Pope memes you liked? Or do you have a joke yourself? I feel like you might have a Pope joke. Maybe you don't.
Oh, Carrie, the churches, they're just religious institutions. There's some limits to even what I will say about the church and El Papa. And You know, I
Here we
mean,
go.
I will say it was struck me as kind of unusual when the Pope said pets should not replace children in Italy. I guess he doesn't like priests practicing bestiality.
Oh, I knew that was coming.
Sorry, folks. Won't stop, can't
You
stop.
know, Michael Che did a good one. That Trump's Pope picture was juvenile. You'd think the Catholics would like it.
The religions actually aren't that different. Jews don't recognize Christ,
Mhm.
Anglicans don't recognize the Pope, and Baptists don't recognize each other at the liquor store.
Uh,
Do you want me to keep going?
one more Pope joke.
Uh,
The staff says no, but I say yes because
Steph says no. Well,
yeah, go.
stop. No.
One more.
Well, no. The only Catholic in my Jewish fraternity was my roommate Mike Boat,
Mhm.
and he wasn't circumcised. We used to get high and make him show us his penis, and we'd make anteater jokes. That's not really a Pope joke.
Oh,
Is that
okay.
strange?
Hey,
Bunch of
let's
guys.
move on. We're gonna move on.
Bunch of guys asking.
Right. And chaos at Newark Airport continues. As of Monday, the airport has been hit with 3 outages in under 2 weeks. U.S. Airlines are meeting with the FAA this week to discuss cutting Newark flights. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy was on Meet the Press this week. And let's listen to what this dingbat has to say.
The only people that I go to for financial advice are my dad and my sister. My family was very frugal.
I'm concerned about the whole airspace, right? The equipment that we use, much of it we can't buy parts for new. We have to go on eBay and buy parts if one part goes down. You're dealing with really old equipment. We're dealing with copper wires, not fiber, not high-speed fiber. And
eBay
so,
still a thing?
this is concerning. Is it safe? Yes, we have redundancies, multiple redundancies in place to keep you safe when you fly. But we should also recognize we're seeing stress on an old network, and it's time to fix it.
Yes, so Doge, of course, they asked him about Doge and he sort of kind of squirreled around on the cuts that Elon was trying to make there. One of them was so weird that I was reading about this weekend that Doge made it so you couldn't charge anything more than $1 to your credit card, your government credit card, because they can't buy paper and pens right now because of that stupidity. So Newark, I don't fly out of Newark. I tend not to. I try not to. I go out of JFK or LaGuardia, but when I'm in New York, any
Newark's awesome. What are you talking about?
thoughts about concerns
Well,
about air travel?
used to
What do you
be.
have to say?
Well, Newark is a great airport.
Yeah.
This doesn't, in my opinion, this doesn't reflect on them. What it
Mhm.
reflects on is that, or look, it's pretty basic fucking logic. When Lloyd Austin was the Secretary of Defense, jets weren't falling off of aircraft carriers.
Yeah,
And when Pete Buttigieg was the Secretary of Transportation, we didn't have near misses and shutdowns at airports
Yeah.
because air traffic controllers are so demoralized and there's not enough of them. And this guy figures out a way to do his interpretive dance and blame. I actually saw him blame Schumer for
Mhm.
this, and all these tropes around. Yeah, it's the safest form of transit. Do your fucking job.
yeah,
This is totally unacceptable. People, what do you want? If people want prosperity. Money is the transfer of time and work. And when you're delaying people for hours and sometimes days at a time because of your incompetence and decision to bring in someone who knows absolutely nothing about government and start
I just
making
now got
reckless
why they say bears took over
results.
because yes, the bears market
This
is
is not only a reduction in
the
safety,
downward
but
market.
a massive
Bears
expansion of the
taking
amount of people,
over
the amount of time
instead.
people that's taken away from their families and their work and economic productivity. Again, it's another one of these slow burning,
I have no idea.
slow
Okay.
burn of our prosperity. And yeah, everything he's saying is right, but they're all. This is he's responsible. What is he doing right now to solve the problem at Newark?
he's yammering. Everybody else is wrong. That's what they do. Mhm.
Anyway, I don't.
I agree. It's like, when did this suddenly happen? Oh, now it's because now we're here and we figured it out. No, now you're here and you're an incompetent administrator of a very critical part of our infrastructure.
This is-
This guy
Sorry,
keeps
Victor.
dumb as a box of hammers.
Again, this is another thing that I just don't think Americans, and unfortunately, they're about to learn the hard way how incredible our FAA and our
Mhm.
government employees and the regulations and the certification and the C check. As someone who's loved aviation their whole life, has been molesting the earth for 30 years, and has flown probably tens of millions of miles, and I'm fascinated with planes and aviation. People don't appreciate what they realize very early on is we're not going to make it like cars where there's an acceptable number of deaths. 10,000 what is it, 20,000 traffic deaths a year, because it's worth it. They said, no, this is so uncomfortable to begin with. To put people in a cylindrical tube with recirculated air and then convince them it's safe to travel at 8/10 the speed of sound across the surface of the atmosphere, quite frankly, it's just unsettling. It does not feel natural. But if we can connect the world, if we can give people the opportunity to fly around the world safely, we're going to have the most unbelievable unlock in terms of human capital being willing to go to its greatest return. Okay, I did this for 10 years. I commuted to New York. I wanted to live in Florida because it was better for my kids, but I still needed to work in New York. So I commuted. Why? Because you can get on a plane and travel 1,000 miles and then commute 1,000 miles because it's that safe and it's that comfortable and it's that inexpensive. These things are so over engineered. They are so safe. If we had anything resembling the fatality rates of automobiles, no one would get
And
in the
also other
fucking plane.
countries. If you've ever flown in other countries, you know.
Well, because when planes go down, it's horrific, and it strikes a very difficult part of our instinctual fear because we're land mammals. So the idea of dying in the air seems especially upsetting to us. And so they have totally over-engineered these things. I mean, I've owned planes. The amount of safety.
So my girlfriend is super into trading, and a lot of what she is talking about to me about trading, I have no idea what she's saying. And so she'll just hit me up with random facts throughout the day. And that bulls and bears thing that I just read, I don't know what she's talking about. But hold on. I'm going to play her message here. Let's see.
Okay, well, I don't know. This is something I'm rambling, but this is something I just learned. So I obviously we all know what a bull's market is, and we all know what a bear's market is. Bull's market means it's like everything's going up. A bear's market is when things are going down. I never knew that the terminology actually is used to describe people who bet on the market going up. So they'll be like, oh, the bulls took over. People who are putting money on the market going up, like me, I'm a bull. I'm never a bear. I never bet that the market's going to go down. And I always thought that the bears was just like, oh, it's a bear's market. Like it's like, the market's in hibernation, right? Obviously, I just thought it meant that. I didn't realize it also was referring to actually the bears. The bears are a group of people who are actually making money when the market goes down. And that's why they're like, oh, the bears are trying to take over. Because they're when a lot of people short, so there's futures, right? Futures gives you an idea of what's happening. Um Shorting a stock or betting that it's going to go up, which is called a call, right? All of this influences the behavior of the market, which is why they say, like, oh, the bulls are taking over or the bears are taking over. I always thought a bear's market just meant that it was like a bad market. It never occurred to me that it's a group of people that are making money. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about. But I am glad that she is excited about this. But yeah, yeah, I don't know about that one. Um, I'm not the smartest person. Okay, back to the show.
It would be, imagine a car, and every 6 weeks, someone had to show up, check the spark plugs, replace them. If your tires showed any wear, they have to replace the tires. They test the thing over and over. They detonate the airbags to make sure they're working and then put them back to make sure this thing will not. Almost all airline disasters are pilot error. And then they have very talented people coordinate all of this while it's sometimes there's 12,000 planes in the air at the same time.
Yeah, the fact that it's messing up now is really a testament to the Trump administration and the demonization of our government workers, which has really gone far too far. There's one thing to be critical and want improvements in the money we're spending, but this guy seems like an imbecile, and the Trump administration is just presiding over like really low quality executives everywhere, which is not a surprise. All right, Scott, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, you'll never guess what kind of company Elizabeth Holmes' partner is starting. Scott, we're back. We're going to make quick work of this, I think. While Elizabeth Holmes is in prison for defrauding investors, her partner and father of her children is raising money for a company that, wait for it, claims to be the future of diagnostics. Billy Evans is distributing marketing materials claiming the company, and I'm future looks like Haemanthus, I think that's what it's called, is a radically new approach to health testing and will test blood, saliva, and urine. The company is probably aiming to raise over $50 million. We'll start testing pets with a goal of developing a stamp-sized wearable product for humans. Marketing materials reviewed by the New York Times say there's no regulatory oversight. Investor presentations are brilliant, not mention Evan's relationship to Elizabeth Holmes. Uh, will there be free trials at the Fire Fest too? I believe in pivoting, but this seems a little bit too much on the nose. I don't know anything about it. What do you think?
Well, I got a lot of shit for it, but I thought Elizabeth Holmes' sentence was overdone.
Agreed. I agree with you with this. I agree with you.
And
Given
I
what other people have done.
and I found it unsettling. Only 2% of founders of unicorns are female, and one, I didn't think there was a lot different between what Adam Newman did and Elizabeth Holmes did. They both lied to their board. They both exaggerated. And
All right, this is just a few of the images that I was working on for Met. Whenever I am working on a couple different jobs at once, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but sometimes you just start to lose the narrative, and it helps to just go on to another set of images. So I'm going to chill on this stuff now. I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to end up with a lot of these. The treatment that's happening right now is based on the treatment that was coming up on set, on the monitors, through the digital tech. And it's close, but I think that there's more that we can do here, you know? I wanted this one to be really good, and I want it to be differentiated a little bit from last year's Met Gala stuff, and I think it is. The light is definitely different. I think the vibes are a little different also. But this is the first of a long mission, so we'll see where this goes. But I'm gonna work on something else. I just wanted to put this one on stream. Hopefully you guys are good. And I was about to say we'll talk to you soon, but